It's Sunday night, and that means one thing. It's time for the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, which today brings us not one, but two races in this fantastic double-header event. First race will be just 4 laps. Then after that, we'll do a full 19-lap race with a 15-car inversion on the grid. So that means you've got to play this evening strategically, because you get yourself into a poor position, who knows, you could be losing more points than you gain. We will start next here on RaceSport TV and on iRacing Live in just one moment's time.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Yeah, watch him, watch him, watch him. Jam it! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez!
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Welcome to the home of British motorsport, for the time being at least. Welcome to Silverstone, set in the heart of Northamptonshire. This track started life as an airfield back during World War II, and since then has become a feature destination of so many series, be it Formula One, be it touring cars, be it endurance racing. Tonight though, it holds itself one of these fantastic double headers here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. It's Wolverhampton along with Jake Sperry. Qualifying is underway for race number 1 right now. Air temp is 71 degrees, humidity 51%, high wind speed of 19 kilometers an hour. And Jake, at an airport style track, that means these cars will be pushed around.
They certainly will here today, Will, and what a fantastic circuit it's going to prove with racing 4 laps in this opening race before the second race with a reverse grid in play as well. It's all about jostling for position, getting your elbows out in this opening race, and qualifying couldn't be any more important here today, Will, because it also works out for a second race as well. Double points on offer, so therefore, with that in mind, qualifying doubly is important.
Yeah, and for some drivers, they'll be thinking, well, if I'm not going to go for pole position, where do I actually want to be? Because you want to stay out of that kind of P10 to P20 battle, because it's going to be crazy down there. I'm having a look through the field though. It is a stacked field of drivers here today. We've got ourselves one World Championship level driver, that is Dakota Fripp in the 128 machine. And as ever, we start our broadcast. We're having a look on board of Mr. 2K World Cup, Philippe Labert. He is actually on a lap right now, so we are going to start getting times in the next 30 seconds or so. You can just see Philippe Labert working himself through Brooklyn, then just taking that. You don't actually move yourself to the right hand side of the track. Here's Philippe Labert setting up for a lap actually now through Luffield, exit of Luffield, he goes onto a flying lap then for him. But we will see some times now just appearing on the left-hand side of your screen. Note at a track like Silverstone, driver's second lap generally is far faster than what you see on lap number 1. As, there we are then, drivers then onto their flying lap now. Sebastian Job's here as well as Vinicius Rocha. So we've got ourselves a number of drivers we haven't always seen actually recently. Sebastian Job, of course, kind of dances in and out of this series.
Well, not necessarily this season, Will. He's actually the championship lead as things stands. Gets a very, very close there to the outside and knocking an instant point, heading himself out of Priory. Now into Luffield, needs a good time. Rocha will make the line first here, Will Vinny Rocha. And he actually runs very wide then, so he'll have to start another lap. But for Sebastian Job, his drive to line, he'll be one of the first mark setters here today at Silverstone. A 2:07.8 from Tipton. Well, it's a 2:08 flat from Sebastian Job. That is a shocking lap.
It is. Brian Duell actually is fastest, and Duell is weirdly good at these double-header races. Justin Tipton second, Alfredo Mato in the third place, actually bumped down. Norbert Sulzer to the top of the timing stands. Arian de Freitas in second place, Andrew Picorio in third. Then it's Brian Duell. Top 3 drivers separated by 1/10 of a second after their first lap. There is a look at Arian de Freitas. We go on board then with him in that positive sim racing machine on his second lap right now. But Norbert Sulzer, fantastic first time, 2:07.451.
Yeah, fantastic lap time. The fastest man in practice, and Norbert Sulzer really is loving this circuit right now. And the rumour is circulating around, Will, that De Freitas may be a little bit unsettled at Positive Sim Racing. Something to keep in mind later on. Paul Malocas, though, his teammate, comes to line, does a 2:07.8, goes position number 7. Paul Malocas struggling then in the early stages, needs a better lap time than he's got right now. And this was the driver, Will, who was second in the championship last season, should be looking to get himself top 5 at least.
Yeah, let's go back to have a look at the driver then of Arian de Freitas. There he is on track right now, heading himself through Club Corner. Actually not that good through Club. He has to do a double stab on the steering wheel as we see more drivers setting a time. Greg Zeet up into P number 4 for the moment. Endo Cantor in 11th place, Tran in 13th, Mick Watson in 14th. 4 minutes remaining, so these drivers will still be able to get another lap in. We go on board, as we say, with Arian de Freitas through Bridge Corner. We are expecting the driver of Philippe Leber to set a time in the next 20 or so seconds, so we will keep an eye out on him, potentially. Actually, no, he's currently P number 9, so he has now actually set himself a time. He's working himself down towards Stowe Corner, of course, scene of that now famous Michael Schumacher crash in 1999. Out of the final corner, Vinicius Rocha goes to the top of the timing stands for the moment. It's going to be one of those moments where everything will change. Vinny has it for the moment. Will Arian de Freitas be able to go faster? Yes, he does. 2:07.181. Then Norbert Sulzer immediately faster than him. So Norbert Sulzer now moves up to provisional pole position by 55/1,000ths of a second.
Brilliant, brilliant time from Norbert Sulzer, just getting himself up there a little bit more. And look how it's knocked down Malocas and Leibert, and now P12 and P13, which is the last places that those two drivers want to be when they've only got 4 laps to make positions up the field. Malocas will round the final corners now of Luffield, has the Woodlands kink to go as well. And that drive to the line for Paul Malocas, the American, is so crucial. Can he do better than position 13 right now? Answer's going to be 2:07.1 P2. What a lap from Malocas.
Yeah, Malocas pulls it out of the bag then. What can Philippe Leber do? He now, the teammate of Paul Malocas, heads himself through that double apex right-hander at Luffield. Through Woodcock Corner for the final time. 2:08.7 is what he did last time. Bypass the line he goes. 2:07.3. It's 5th for Leber. Greg Zeets goes up to 4th.
Yeah, Greg Zeets doing a fantastic job. Just looking back to see if anyone else is on a lap. Kane Halliburton is. He's got 2 minutes, and he will get himself around for that final lap. Will currently position number 11, and if anyone is going to get themselves through, that's got to be Kane.
Yeah, indeed. So currently in that 11th place then on track, as he will, as we say, complete the lap. There's 100 seconds remaining on the play clock right now. as Halliburton's going to work himself down towards the Abbey chicane. You've got to wonder though, Jake, with this first race, whether people set their car up and almost thrown qualifying away because they know that racecraft is so much more important here today.
Maybe so. It's all about position, trying to get as many points as you can, whilst also putting yourself in a situation where you can make that recovery back through the field in the second half of the race. And with a stacked field like Sulzer, Malocus, De Freitas, Seitz, Rochelle, Bear as your top 6 here, you have to argue, how do you touch that impenetrable top 6 at the moment? But now for Kane Halliburton, running himself through Luffield Corner, he may be one driver who has that ability to get through into that top 6. Alfredo Malo came close, so did Dakota Fripp for Vendaval Sim Racing, but now Kane Halliburton making that drive to the line. Can he do any better than 2:07.7? Answer is going to be a 2:07.5. He does, but it's only P9, Will.
It is. So a 2:07.777 to a 2:07.508. That is pretty much actually all we've got in terms of qualifying. Everyone else is now on cooldown laps. You can see Anthony Cat there in the 2:26 machine. Well, that will means we got ourselves the opportunity to just slowly run yourself through your starting grid for this event then. And it is going to be the case of Norbert Sulzer, Club Diach, with pole position. 2:07.126. Paul Malocus will start alongside him with a 2:07.170. Then Arjen De Freitas in third. Greg Zeet on the outside of that second row of the grid. Vinicius Rocha in the 5th position. Felipe Burt in 6th. Alfredo Malo in 7th. And then Brian Duell in the 8th place. Running out your top 10 is Kane Halliburton and Dakota Fripp as we have a look then through the rest of your grid, Jake.
Yeah, certainly, and well, it's a certainly stacked grid. Enzo Cantor only position 18. Joe P19 there struggled really a lot in qualifying. That's going to be something to look out for. And also at the back of the field, probably serving a penalty of sort, Tom Ward in the 224. Normally we see him up at the front at Monday Night Skippies.
We do indeed. Don't forget, you can check out Monday Night Skippies tomorrow here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live in support of the Calm Zone, a UK-based mental health charity. To catch that one at 8 p.m. GMT here live only on RaceSpot TV, as we're just going to finish running through your grid here then. It's a stacked field of 41 drivers. 2 races here today. We are going to have ourselves a 4-lap race followed by a 19-lap race. The interesting thing will be, of course, the drivers that finish inside the top 15 will have their places inverted for the second of today's races. So that means don't crash. Don't get yourself into too many issues. But these drivers know this, but still, it's going to be a long, tough, quick race here today, followed then by your more traditional Sunday Night Skippies. Drivers are on the starting grid. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers. We're waiting for about 4 of them right now. Tom Ward is one of them. Tom will get himself down to the starting grid here so we can get this show on the road. This is Sunday Night Skippies, one of the longest broadcast series here on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV. Bringing it to you, of course, every other Sunday as we're now just waiting for those last few drivers. Engines revving. Let's get the show on the road then. Race 1 or 2 is underway. It's almost a slow pedestrian walk down into Copse Corner for the first time in these cars, but now you'll see them forming up. It is almost going to be single file for the first part of this racetrack, but then after that, things will get very interesting very quickly as we'll see 2 wide racing going on through the top middle part of your field. Behind, we've got even more stacked up approach. There are no cautions in this 4-lap race. So basically, if you crash out, it's pretty much going to be game over for you. But now the drivers head themselves through Maggots, head themselves through Beckett's for the first time. And I think, actually, Jake, we're okay. Everyone has gotten through the first sector.
Everyone has, and it's 1-2-3 PSR at the front of the field, but Greg Seitz then for TT Racing goes to the inside of De Freitas, the reigning champion, and Rocha might want to follow in suit as well. On the brakes then into Stowe corner, this long looping right-hander looking for the best run possible. De Freitas has to relinquish that position, and now Vinicius Rocha on the outside as they head towards the Valen Club, and it's going to be one position lost for De Freitas, but now Le Bear will come down the inside of Rocha, and now they're going to be side by side, but look at it, it stacks up 2 by 2, Noah's Ark all the way back down the field, and it's a battle for P15 onwards. It's an absolute slobber knocker.
Yes, it is. As you'll see, Le Bear has the inside line in towards the Abbey chicane. Will he be able to brake later? I don't think he will be, actually. Now he's got himself the fact with the 204 machine of Alfredo Mayo heading himself alongside of him as they now come towards Bridge Corner. But behind, you've got a load of drivers. You've got Brian Dewell, Dakota Fripp, Kane Halliburton, all scrapping it out. At the front of your field, though, there is the driver of Norbert Sulzer. He is leading the way over Paul Malocas. Brian Dewell is going side by side with Dakota Fripp right now. And the thing about this 4-lap race is there's going to be so much action, we're not going to be able to fully keep up with it, but your mid-pack is clearly where the battles are. Just to let you know, pretty much everyone, in fact everyone, is still on track right now. The drivers that had a penalty really are going to struggle here because they actually get hit twice, Jake, the likes of Tom Ward and Bill Fraser.
Yeah, they certainly do, because even though they start at the back of the field, they've got to make as many positions as they can in 4 laps, and then from there, they aren't affected by the reverse of the grid, so therefore they have to do that next race from wherever they finish in the first race. It's a nightmare scenario to get a penalty coming into this event, so you have to be incredibly careful about how you work your way through this one. And well,
Malocas
at the front of the...
is out by the looks of it.
Paul Malocas, no, he's just about there. He's just having a couple of issues there, Will, but, you know, it's 1 and 2 at the moment, and Greg Seitz waiting in the wings, and in fact, Malocas may actually go for the race lead here, take it away from Norbert Sulzer. He needed to after he missed the first round, Will, and took a drop week, so now 2 wide we're going to go, maybe 3 wide we're going to try and keep it with Greg Seitz. Seitz thinks better of it, but now down to the inside, Paul Malocas, your race leader.
Yeah, so Paul Malocas moves up into first place for the time being. Norbert Sulzer down into second. Now Greg Seitz is thinking, let's see if I can make it up into second place, as we'll just have a look there on board with Greg Seitz, as he's able to take a tighter line for Club Corner, but that doesn't really help him so much. Behind you got Justin Tipton. He's working himself side by side right now. We'll just see he's along board with the driver of 139. That, of course, is Sebastian Job in the 242 car. That is Tim Hendrickson trying to go 3 wide into the Abbey chicane. That one, they thought it was a bad idea. Tipton forced all the way down to the inside curb, not able to do anything there. He has to fall back into line. Sebastian Job will keep that position for the time being. Worth noting that actually Malocas has put a couple of car lengths ahead of Norbert Sulzer just for the time being. But that top kind of 6 breakaway you talked about early on in this broadcast, bringing the drivers to pull away, they have actually now pulled away, Jake.
Yes, they have, and that is a very, very frightening top 6 as Le Bear takes a massive, massive wide line, and well, it's going to be De Freitas actually under pressure as Vinicius Rocha down to the inside takes the move, and actually heading towards Copse. It was Norbert Sulzer having a look with 2 laps to go on the brakes into Copse, but no, that's not going to happen. But bring it back to that battle with Sebastian Job, because that is for the top 15 they are arguing over. Hendrickson versus Dalla Valle now. If Dalla Valle gets the run, he's now into position 15, and if he can get position 15 and keep it, he's in prime position for that second race.
Yeah, and Hendrickson Dalla Valle, we'll turn our attention to that one momentarily, because that is going to be really important. The driver finishing P number 15 will get pole position into the next race. Driver finishing P16, well, they've got a lot of work to do. So there's a big point tool available here for a driver potentially if they finish inside that top 15.
Oh, well, 3 wide. Oh, and there's contact, and there it's going to be the driver of Paul Malocas getting that contact. It's scary there. Sorry for that. He gets a second big wiggle that had the potential to threaten it up. Look at this, 4 wide as they head towards Vale, and they touch. Malocas touches De Freitas and Rocha all involved in it. Keep yourself together, boys. This one is getting dicey.
They're almost throwing this race away. If you're in the top 6, almost take what you've got and go and fight for the double points round coming up. But here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4 wide on the replay there, and they all come together, and that instantaneously, that could have been 4 race drivers out of this motor race. There is bodywork damage to almost all of them, but they should, well, Paul Malocas isn't going. Paul Malocas is off the road. Paul Malocas at Bridge Corner is now down into P number 13, P number 14. Now for Paul Malocas, he's just got to hope they can keep that car going, but I don't think he can. Malocas, he is now having a nightmare. He's got 1 lap. You can't come on towards pit road right now, Jake. You've got to try and hold on. But no matter what happens, Paul Malocas might start this race next race outside the top 15.
He may, and that is so crucial as we're heading towards the final lap. Malocas is struggling with that steering arm, and again he runs wide, as now they're going to go 3 wide here. Hendrickson and Dalla Valle there, and now Malocas is the big loser on the outside, on the grass even, trying to get out of the way of everyone and rejoin the circuit safely. Huge moments then, and now outside of top 15, he will fade now into obscurity, as at the front, Greg Seitz versus Norbert Sulzer, the battle for the race lead.
Yeah, they work themselves through Maggot into Beckett's then, as Rob Adams loses the position to Nick Sketchley, by the way. But what a move there by Norbert Sulzer. Just times that perfectly, as it means that Greg Seitz, I think, actually just lost a load of momentum. That's allowed Philippe Burt up into the 2nd place as they work themselves towards Stowe Corner. Let's go on board with Philippe Burt. Let's see if there's anything that he can do as they come down in towards Stowe Corner. The answer is no, not just yet. But he's still got himself 1 or 2 overtaking opportunities. It won't be in towards Club Corner. It'll be likely down into the Abbey Chicane for Philippe Burt. And that's where they're heading after this corner. Club Corner, as if you need to know that one, of course. Behind Brian Dewell, scrapping it out with Kane Halliburton. But it does look like Halliburton has cemented his top 10 finish for the time being. The driver on the bubble is still Michael Delaval, as he's got Mick Watson behind him. That is 0.3 of a second, but there's a lot of drivers all in that same place of real estate, and actually Delaval is trying to move himself past Tim Hendrickson right now as they come down into the Abbey Chicane. But out front, there is the driver of Norbert Sulzer. He's got himself Philippe Burt 1/4 of a second back. It will take now a miracle to really find a way past, but Norbert Sulzer is going to head himself through Brooklands in towards Luffield for the final time in race number 1, and he will get himself the victory over Philippe Burt, barring some last-minute catastrophe. We've had 1 or 2 of them here today, but it is going to be Norbert Sulzer who wins the first of our 2 races here today. Sulzer will win, and then it'll be Philippe Burt in the 2nd place. Then you've got other drivers just coming through your screens right now. We'll talk about that in a moment. P number 15. You know what, Jake? That P number 15 battle really intensified in the last couple of corners.
It certainly did, and with a lot of vehicles in there. I believe it was from 14th back to 19th, was split in the end by just 0.8 of a second over the start-finish line. Dalla Valle will be the man on the bubble to take the pole. Mick Watson will be the unlucky loser, but there were some very big names in that battle as well. You had the likes of Ari Harrow in there, Will, and that's very surprising, but Harrow made 5 positions during that race. Dalla Valle, he really put an effort in, +6 to get to 15th.
Yeah, and now you can just see the treble 6 machine of Mick Watson. He had a nose at one point, but just wasn't able to do anything with it. What we are going to do, though, is run yourself through your race results then from race number 1. Vinny Rocha sets the fastest start, but that doesn't account for too much because of the fact that he only finished 4th. But Norbert Sulzer wins the first of our 2 races here today. Philippe Burt 2nd place, Greg Seitz in 3rd, Vinicius Rocha 4th, Aaron De Freitas runs out your top 5. Then it's Alfredo Malo are in the 6th place, Dakota Fripp in 7th place, Kane Halliburton in 8th, Brian Dewell in 9th, and then running out your top 10 is the driver of Sebastian Jobe. We'll cycle it on back. There's Andrew Pecora in 11th, Tran in 12th, Tipton in 13th, Hendrickson in 14th, and Delaval, by getting P number 15, will start on pole position for race number 2. Mick Watson in 16th place. He will start in 16th, and that's the worst place, really. And he was only about 0.2 of a second behind Delaval at the end of that motor race, where he has to start where he finished. P number 16, Chris Malcolm in 17th, Barry Wrench in 18th, Ari Haro 19th, and Carl Dronke rounding out your top 20. Next up, it's Gareth Dorn, Conor Van Ram, John Oken, Paul Malokas, and Nick Zigley rounding out your top 25. There's the rest of the drivers. Note the fact Rod Adams is in P number 26. Note the fact also that with those penalties, there was no way that Enzo Cantor, Tom Ward, or Bill Fraser could really ever get into the mix. And that's the thing. You take your penalty in the next race, sometimes it's a sprint race, and sometimes you get bitten twice. That's what's happened to those two drivers. Mike McCormick finishes 1 lap down here. And then you got yourself Andrew Leach and Pascal Van der Hoek also classified as 1 lap down, but F1 technically finishes this motor race anyway. We will step aside for a few moments here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live and get ourselves ready for our second race here today by showing you a couple of replays first of all from what you've just seen. This was race number 1 of the day from Silverstone.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR eSports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing eSport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpot TV. We've just got a couple of minutes before the next race is ready to go. So what we want to do is just quickly show you a couple of replays with the big Paul Malocas incident. We talked about it in the broadcast, but here they are. First one, going 3 wide in towards Stowe Corner. That was Norbert Salter there who hit Paul Malocas that first time. You can see that Malocas at that point, Jake, already did have himself some damage, but the issue just came there. We just saw it. Malocas at that point, we're just going to zoom in. That's where he got his suspension damage, and that you actually see that there on the graphic, on the broadcast graphic there. The front end of that car is what just gets completely mangled up, and actually see 2 or 3 broken wishbones of that car just there, which really is kind of really hindered his chance to finish this race in the top 15.
Yeah, it certainly did. And every single broken wishbone, well, you say that a double wishbone is lucky in terms of a chicken, but in terms of this one, a wishbone here, getting that broken is certainly not the luckiest thing in the world. And for Paul Malocas, P26, I do believe it was at the end of this event, that is a long way home for a driver who should be doing a lot more. And it's things like that, Will, that really do cost championships. And I mean, you can even talk about Sebastian Jobe just keeping it out of trouble, getting himself to position number 10. Although he gives up the championship lead now, he actually gives himself a top 5 start for that second race, and that's going to be so crucial. He has a head start on all of his rivals.
Yes, and that is going to be incredibly important. There you can see the second incident right there for Paul Malocas, and at that point, it was the left-hand side of that car that got trolloped, is the only way I could say. And that means the number 4 machine of Paul Malocas classified well down the field here today. So that's the big story coming out of the first round of today's event. We have got the second one coming up. That will be in a couple of moments' time here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. We're just keeping an eye out, as we say. Keeping an eye out, because these things sneak up on us before we know it. And indeed, yep, we are almost ready to go. So we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, in a moment.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. All right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, watch him. Jam it! Get ready. Dude, 4 heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Good tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind. behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar.
The in and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best.
Welcome then, ladies and gentlemen, to race number 2. We're going to have to do this quickly. Here's your starting grid for... Nope, we can't even show you that yet. So, welcome to race number 2. Will Vinton, Jake Sparring. Your starting grid will come up on your screen in exactly 5 seconds' time. And there we are, showing up for you right now. Michael Delaval will start on pole position. Tim Henriksen in second place. Justin Tipton in third. Tran in fourth place. Ricardo Pecari in fifth. Sebastian Joe, Brian DeWell, Kane Halliburton, Dakota Fripp, and Alfredo Malloy rounds out your top 10. Aaron DeFreitas 11th. Vinicius Rachel 12th even. Greg Zeed 13th. Felipe Leber 14th. Norbert Tulsa 15th. Mick Watson 16th. Rest of the grid up on your screen. Jake, you got 10 seconds. Thoughts about this race?
It's going to be difficult. Pit stops involved. Everything under the sun could happen. And in the end, it's about who keeps out of trouble the most.
42 drivers. And there's the front of your field. We are almost ready to go racing then for our second race here today. Let's put the graphics up on your screen. As the green flag comes out, 19 laps underway here at Silverstone. Michael Delaval has himself the pole position here, but can he survive it in towards turn number 1? The answer to that question, we're going to find out about now. As they come down, we always had a moment there, down in towards Copse Corner, down in P3, P4. But the question now is going to be, will they all survive this first sector, Jake?
That is going to be the big question. Maggots and Beckett's coming up side by side for position number 4. Tran stuck on the outside, then now will have to negotiate. Corsim Racing Sebastian Job, who now will have the inside into Chapel. No, we won't. Contact behind. Kane Halliburton goes off with another vehicle as well. Halliburton survives it, but that second vehicle will really struggling in the early goings.
Yeah, and that 216 machine, lucky there that didn't come back onto track right down on the exit of Chapel. But the good news is we're 3 wide for the race lead, and Tim Henriksen moves himself to the front of the field.
Yeah, and Tim Hendrickson doing well, but side by side they stay. Dalla Valle not done here towards the Vel, and Tipton might try and make it 3 wide. He thinks better of it in the southern section of the circuit, and behind that, side by side, they're going to go down in behind Sebastian Job there, and after Job is Dakota Fripp and Tuan Tran. Tran falling backwards in the early stages, Will. He's had a good opening to this season, but now starting to fall back a little bit, struggling maybe with Silverstone side by side for second. Tipton versus Dalla Valle. Dalla Valle will play the defense role here into Abbey, and he's going to hold that position for now.
Yeah, we go on board for the moment with Norbert Sulzer in the 13th place on track. Positive Sim Racing car has moved himself up 2 places in this field here this afternoon in that PSR car. So that's where he is, of course, after starting P number 15 in this event. But ahead of them, they are still going 2 wide. They are still battling for position, and it is still very close. But the good thing is, they've all completed lap number 1 almost. We've only got 1 driver out, and that's Alfredo Malo R. Apart from that, they're all going.
Yeah, apart from that, they're all going. That was that big incident with Kane Halliburton through Maggots and Beckett's, but now Sebastian Job up into position number 4, former championship leader. Now Precario thinking about an opportunity to get back into Copse Corner. That's not going to work. Down through and at the front of the field, you got to be careful as well, because Dalla Valle running incredibly wide, going straight across and hits Tipton. Round they both go. Tipton straight back across the circuit, misses Job, hits Precario. Big, big moment.
And we go yellow. You kind of have to there.
Yeah, there's no other choice there, Will. It was a massive instant. 3, 4, 5 vehicles across the road, smoke everywhere. The track was blocked, the track was blocked, and, well, caution, it's the best possible scenario.
Let's have a look then. Let's see if we can get this on the replay. Heading themselves. There we are. 1, 2. I mean, Sebastian Job is the luckiest guy in sim racing right now.
Yeah, as suppose you could say to the anti-man of Riley Preston, you could argue then on the luckiest man in sim racing. But, you know, you can get out of jail free. You make your own luck here, but sometimes racing is 80% skill and 20% luck. But make that 80% luck, 20% skill at times for Sebastian Job.
15% concentrated power, Will.
Maybe.
5% pleasure, 15% pain. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
Nah, I don't.
Rest in peace, Chester. Rest in peace. As we've got ourselves, yeah, crazy. That's actually, I have to say, in terms of the 2K World Cup, that is one of the biggest crashes I've seen in a long time.
It certainly is, and it goes to prove to you that Silverstone's a lot tougher than you think it is. The only reason that incident happens is because Dalla Valle is actually out on the AstroTurf, which has so much reduced grip compared to the tarmac, and getting on that AstroTurf, normally you get out of jail free with it. Sometimes it bites you back, and these massive, massive wheels, sometimes even they can't stop the traction from slipping away from them.
Let's get another look on board of Dalla Valle, actually, because this is going to be interesting to look at. 207 machine then. Through Copse Corner. And, you know, turn 1 at Old Silverstone, it's a bit like turn 1 at Watkins Glen. You just get the wheels the wrong way round, and it's game over for you. But for Dalla Valle, I mean, wicked, wicked impact for him.
Yeah, it certainly was. And the fact that vehicles were going 2, 3, 4 across the circuit, sometimes it's just a case of you can't avoid the inevitable, and these are the greatest Skippy drivers on iRacing without any shadow of a doubt, and even they make the big mistakes, and sometimes it is one small thing that grows up into another. There was nothing too much wrong, actually, that Dalla Valle did overall. It was just that big, big moment that cost so much in this race.
It was a mistake. It wasn't a case of someone deliberately doing something wrong. And again, I always say that Copse Corner here is very similar to turn 1 at Watkins Glen, because I've seen so many I've seen a 30-car incident in a sim race at Watkins Glen because of that exact reason. If you're a front runner, and let's not forget, inverted field, top 15 want to make a name for themselves. Now, I'm not saying that Dalla Valle did anything necessarily wrong. We've all done that. If you've been into a test session at Silverstone, in any car, at some point, I almost guarantee you've lost that back end of that car coming through Copse Corner.
Yeah, you do. And Copse Corner is a very, very fearsome turn number 1. And I think in most drivers' book of fantastic corners that you put into your dream race circuit, Copse Corner surely jumps into 70% of them, if not more, just because it is such a ferocious corner. You have to light lift, and you're always trying to push it to the best of your ability in any vehicle. And, well, you know, he gets caught out, and now we're under caution. And actually, Tim Hendrickson must be feeling like he's had all his Christmases come at once in one sense, and in another sense, he must be dreading it because he's got Job, Tran, De Freitas, Dewell, Sulzer, and Harrow all behind him in a train.
Now, the interesting thing is, I'm just trying to work out pit windows here, because pit window would open around lap 6, lap 7. If you're Hendrickson, what you actually probably want to do, come on towards pit road the second that window opens and get as much time as possible in clean air.
Maybe that is a good idea. The other idea I would think of here is just holding out until someone in that pack decides to dive down onto pit lane first, because that way he can cover whoever it is that comes in. And the situation that he's got is, if he is at the front and if he can hold off everyone else, he can just defend to his merry heart's content. I think he has that ability to do so.
So the iRacing first safety car is out right now. It is the Porsche iRacing safety car. We can actually call it a Porsche for once. But then we can see, having a look down your field, I don't expect many people to duck on towards pit road. Maybe a Greg Zietz or two of the right. Well, Greg Zietz probably should come on towards pit road. Use that kind of like quick repair, get himself a new front nose onto that car. Then he'll be in better position, because actually all he'll be doing is making his life a misery if he stayed out on track, and then he's going to lose 2 positions.
Look at Philippe Laibert actually coming down to pit road. He is crabbing sideways like you wouldn't believe right now. He makes Sebastian Vettel's little incident look so minuscule in terms of that. And actually, down on the pit straight, they are just really bunching up here at the moment. You've got the likes of Cantor struggling, Derek's there involved as well, and they are all really slowing down to turn number 1. It's meant to be line astern, but it's not often that you get a caution in iRacing, and, well, now they have that caution. Some drivers are being caught out by the fact that they are checking up a bit.
I think we've had cautions in 2K World Cup before. We've never had 2 cautions. Actually, no, we did have 2 cautions once, I think, Jake. But we're hopefully not going to have that here again today.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, Watkins Glen is normally the big proprietor of cautions due to the fact that it's got no room to go with. But on such a wide circuit as Silverstone, you think that they'd use all the space and all the runoff that's available on the grass. But no, decide to go back on the circuit. Big incident between them. But, you know, now it's all about how you manage yourself. The tyres will start to go cold again. You have to really try and manage it. With the lights off of the safety car as well, we know we're going green next time by on this next lap to start lap number 5 out of 19. A quarter of this race has already gone for these drivers, and with it, they've had a bit of battling, and now they've had to reevaluate where they are. It's about whose mind is the strongest, and its mental resiliency from this point to really pick it up. It's all on Hendrickson.
And you know why they're so close? Because the fact they know that if they're not in a pack come the Exeter Chapel, it's game over for them.
Exactly, and getting in that pack down the Hangar Straight is so crucial. No DRS, no ERS, no nothing. And look at Sebastian Job. He's actually saving fuel by not hitting that brakes, and as such, he's starting to just slowly limp his way through against the driver of Hendrickson from time to time. You've got to be so careful around here. Everyone's trying to get that extra lap out of it now, Will. With that pit stop window, it throws a whole new possibility now because of this safety car.
If my name was JBL, I'd be saying ball game, but I'm not.
Ball game.
Yep, so there we are. There's your top 8 drivers. There they are, all assembled, heading towards the Abbey chicane. If you're Hendrickson, though, Jake, you got to be thinking, uh-oh.
Yes, you do have to be thinking, uh-oh, when you've got some of the greatest sim racers behind you. You've got the likes of De Freitas, Job, who is arguably the man with the greatest potential in sim racing right now. You've got the likes of Tuan Tran out there, who's been on a very good season. And the fact of the matter is, Hendrickson has to lead all these drivers, and he's got that big worry, and he knows that he's only got 3 corners to go before he sets everyone off.
And it's not like Formula 1. That pace car is not going to accelerate until the very last moment. So Hendrickson is going to have to time this one perfectly, because if you do it too late, you're going to get stacked up down in towards Copse Corner, and then you're going to see pandemonium But just look at Sebastian Job. He's haunting the driver of Tim Henriksson right now. That pace car comes in. Sebastian Job all over the rear of Tim Henriksson. As, oh my word, they hit! They hit! Oh, it's all trouble then as we go back to green flag racing. And business has just picked up.
Oh, it certainly has, and he timed it all wrong, did Henriksson. Had to hit the brakes, and now it checks up 3 wide in. Later, it's De Freitas that gets a tap through Copse corner now, and it's all 6 and 7. Joe gets out of the way of it all, but my word, what a moment.
Yep, it looks like Sebastian Job is damaged. How damaged is Arjen De Freitas right now? Because actually he seems to be okay, but Henriksson, overruns all of that, has got himself a leader. Oh, we got a car spun around.
Malocus it is, and he's on the racing line. 1 contact, 2 contact. He is still part there trying to get it out of the way, and I believe we will get that one out of the way. Malocus, a big moment there for him as down through, and it's been a lot of 6 and 7s confusion off of the start. Harrow, Dronke side by side, but now Watson and Tran side by side, and Souza out of all of this side by side with your race leader. Henriksson gives way. Souza has been given the gift of gods right now. Tran's gone wide.
Where has he come from?
Where's he gone?
Oh my word, Norbert Souza from 15th place up into 1st. And what a day it's been for Norbert Souza here today. I mean, we always think about the drivers doing the double in these circumstances. We've got 3 wide behind, we've got a car wide in the exit of Club Corner. I believe that is the driver, and that's not the driver of Ari Harrow. They're going 4 wide almost again down in towards Abbey Chicane, because Ari Harrow's got damage to his race car. It is the case of who's got the least beaten up race car here today, because, well, everyone, I think, has hit someone or something here today.
Except Norbert Souza, who leads this race. Now side by side goes Ari Harrow with the driver of Adam Blocker. Blocker goes through for 1. Inside to Priory now for Chris Malcolm. He'll get that position. And Ari Harrow now has Michael Dalla Valle as well, looking down to the inside. And you know what? He may just steal that one as well. Brilliant fighting in the middle of your pack right now. But this is even more crucial, though, because the battle for position number 3 between Mick Watson and Arjen De Freitas going on. And by my looks of things here right now, Will, on the vehicle of Arjen De Freitas, his vehicle's fine. He's got away with it. Maybe a little bit of damage on that rear wing. That is going to be affecting his straight line speed.
Yep, there is Arjen De Freitas up into 3rd place. Norbert Souza, though, sets the fastest lap. 2:07 here on lap number 6 we're now on. As Ari Harrow's falling down. Ari Harrow, I believe, is coming towards pit road. He can't take any more here in this race. Behind, you got Callum Van Ram scrapping it out with the likes of Brian Dewell and David McDonald. As well, the second lap on the second attempt is going a little bit better than the first time around, but we've got a lot of damaged race cars right now, and I'm just interested to know how has Norbert Souza moved himself so far up the field?
He got lucky. He picked and chose his gap as everyone started scrapping around everyone, and Norbert Souza now with that gap to get away. De Freitas will be the only man to close down Souza, but with a 3-second gap already to Souza, that's going to be very difficult. I want to keep an eye out, though, on Tom Ward here right now, Will, because he's currently in P13 plus 25 positions.
Wow. Here's a replay then on board with Norbert Souza. He made a lot of positions up on the first start of this race. That is the driver Brian Dewell. But Norbert Souza, as everyone kind of checked up on that restart, Souza just took the outside line. Remember, you can't pass on the inside. You can only pass on the outside. Souza realized that one to his advantage. Didn't get a black flag. Then Arjen De Freitas was the driver who got just a little bit of an action pass there in towards turn number 1. Let's show yourself a replay of that one from our aerial coverage, brought to you by And One Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV. And there you can see, I mean, he drifted through that first corner, but let's actually now turn our attention to Tom Ward up into P number 12 right now, and he's hunting down Michael Dalla Valle.
He is, and Dalla Valle in the 207 machine has had his fair share of incidents throughout this weekend, and now looking to try and hold off a very fast charging Tom Ward, who will be looking to get some good results. And in fact, look at the drivers he can get through: Blocker, Malcolm, McDonald, Van Ram. These are your drivers you normally see mid-pack racing, and now for Tom Ward, he knows that he's got quite a few drivers he can now look to exploit and make their way past. Job's out, so his championship now fades away into a drop week. Now for Tom Ward, he now needs to justifying this because he's been towards the back of the field early. Look how far wide the driver of Adam Blocker goes. Dalla Valle will follow, and thank you very much, says that driver of Tom Ward. He gets through. Stephen Stoyles also going side by side behind.
Yeah, and I think for Tom Ward there, it's a case now, pick him off one at a time, but just remember the fact that Norbert Sulzer leads this motor race. Worth noting that David McDonald is right behind Colin Van Ram. Let's have a look on board with David McDonald. He goes down to the inside. Easy pass in towards Stowe Corner. That's the most huskier easy pass I think I've ever done.
Yeah, it is, and there's no front wing there on that driver of Colin Van Ram, so that's going to be the issue back for P2, though. De Freitas, good defense, though, from Hendrickson with the damaged front wing, who is a second a lap slower right now than Norbert Sulzer. So now Hendrickson is struggling with that front wing, and he will probably repair that when he comes down to pit road. Now, I would say he comes down in sooner rather than later. Defensive line into Abbey now. He will go. De Freitas onto the outside. We'll have to run the outside to have the inside into the second part. That's not going to work, so he's going to try and cut back one to cut back two. He cuts back one. He tries to go around the outside now at Bridge with next to no room there, Will. And you know what? He's going to get the inside for Priory, and great setup work from the PSR man, PSR 1-2.
Fantastic there for Arian De Freitas. As to quote Johnny Simone, it's called Priori, according to him. But hey, what a move there by the number one machine of Arian De Freitas. I mean, that shows him why he is a champion. Arian De Freitas now up into that second position. He is, though, 3.6 seconds behind the driver of Norbert Sulzer. So actually, this one will come down to pit stops and a charge at the end. And that pit window is now open.
It certainly is, and now getting yourself back home is the big, big question. But look how much time De Freitas lost on that lap trying to get past Hendrickson. He lost another half a second to Norbert Sulzer, and that pretty much is secure, barring the fact that he can get a little bit lighter fuel come the end of this event. But they are of the same team, so you would feel here, Will, that they would be privy to the same sort of strategy calls.
Did you not see Mercedes earlier on today?
I did see Mercedes earlier on today, and you know what? Fair play to it.
Yeah. We're just having a look at Philippe Labour versus Kurt Crum, etc. But Tom Ward up into P. He's into the top 10 right now. He's actually looking for P number 9. That's Chris Malcolm alongside him as they come down in towards Stowe Corner once again. And Tom Ward now up into the 9th position. Tom Ward, Friction Racing, up into 8th. 2-for-1 special engaged.
And lovely there, and well, you get all your money and a little bit more back with that one. Tom Ward taking advantage of the limping Colin Van Ram, you could argue. Now needs to get past David McDonald, and then it's a 2-second gap to Carl Dronke, but Tom Ward is one of the quickest men in the field. 2:07.4s that he has been running. He is equal with the race leader right now in terms of his times. That's how quick Tom Ward is being. The caution severely helps him. And now, down to the inside, he goes to David McDonald. Nothing you can do. He's taken 3 positions in half a lap. This is brilliant from Tom Ward.
Yeah, this is the Tom Ward we know and love, up into P number 7 right now. He has got himself a bit of a gap to make up to Carl Dronke, but based upon his lap times, he should close him down in 3 laps time. Having a look, and I'm going to project right now, I sound like Fox News when I say this, I'm going to project that Tom Ward can get P number 4 in this motor race.
That's a very, very fair assumption. I reckon that is a good idea, as De Freitas actually jumps and bites first. He comes down onto pit road, so he gets himself out of the way of second position, looking for some clean air, hits his marker nicely on the speeding gun, and now needs that perfect pit stop, Will. Big, big development.
And we are about at the halfway point of this motor race. The thing is, as Tom Ward goes purple, just to let you know, by the way, Arian De Freitas comes in at a point when you can now do so. He will take less fuel than he would do normally. Normally expect a 13, 14 second pit stop. I wouldn't be surprised. This is just a little, yeah, 10.7. So he's actually saved 3 seconds on pit road because of that yellow flag. And the guys that recognize the amount of fuel they've saved on the yellow were the drivers that win big here today.
They certainly are. Laibert also in with Brian Duell also, and the big thing for the driver of Arjen de Freitas is he's got clean air for a sense, but he has a drafting partner in front of him in the form of John Ocken. So in terms of this one, he's far enough away as John Ocken not to hold up the driver Arjen de Freitas, but close enough to give the tow. This is perfect for de Freitas in terms of his strategy versus Sulzer. You wouldn't ask for anything better in this situation for him. Very good side by side for P2 though. Hendrickson and Watson going at it. Barry Arendts, who is normally the guy who goes the longest on his fuel, now in this battle P2, 3, 4 net on circuit. And look at this, they're scrapping over each other like a pack of hyenas over a bit of meat. And now down to the inside goes Watson into Abbey. He backs out of it there because he had that little bit of an intuition that Hendrickson was pulling a bit to the left.
Yeah, and there is Mick Watson. Will stay on board of him as they come through Bridge Corner. And Hendrickson then remains in second place for the time being. You've got to give credit, actually, to Hendrickson. He's not lost anything apart from the race lead, really, since we've gone back to green. And actually, this is a driver that generally is a top 20, maybe a top 15 driver, basically battling it out with Mick Watson, Barry Arendts right now. But I do say that Watson's got a very good run as here we come then, Hendrickson on towards pit road.
Yeah, Hendrickson onto pit road. Watch the front wing, Will. Watch to see if he changes that front wing. There is damage on the front of it, and Hendrickson will need to be careful about how he works it. Also down in onto pit road are the likes of Adam Blocker. Also onto pit road is Chris Malcolm. So the mid-pack now going in Dalla Valle. You've got likes of Leach, Derricks, all in there right now, and positions are so crucial for drivers who have struggled through the field. Drivers like Dakota Fripp in the early stages. Drivers like Philippe Laibert, who will need every position that they can get.
Tim Hendrickson, let's have a look at his pit stop time as he will get himself out in 13.5 seconds. A long stop for him. Driver ahead of him is on towards pit road as well. Hendrickson comes back out into clean air I was talking about, but it's too late for him now to use that clean air. We've also got more drivers on pit road. Harry Harrow, Adam Blocker, Chris Malcolm have made stops as Chris Malcolm is, oh my word, they're almost going to be 4 wide coming in towards the Maggots complex here. We've got some fantastic racing going on down in your mid-pack here today.
Oh, yes, we do. And Adam Blocker gets lucky there with the drivers there with Bill Fraser and Nick Sigley involved. And Laibert on the back of it here. Brian Dwell at the front looking to try and push that high cadence. But for Hendrickson, he's a mile away from de Freitas. And that's going to be crucial in terms of the racing battles that we're going to see. As I see some contact between Kane Halliburton and Dakota Fripp. He blocks the circuit. 2, 3, 4 vehicles almost there involved. They look to get themselves sorted. Greg Seitz, though, very crucially, your race winner from last time. Well, in the second place even, shall we say, is involved.
Replay. 1, 2. Thank goodness there was a lane open, otherwise that would have had to have been a caution.
Exactly, and the second caution, nobody wants to see the second caution, but very nearly it did become that second caution. It ends a couple races, but you know, sometimes that's racing. Sulzer stays out. Will Arendts come in as he's already through on the driver of Mick Watson. Your top 3 stay out, your top 4 do not, as Carl Dronke, the Tesco version of Martin Kroenke, comes in.
What version of Tesco?
Tesco Finest.
Okay, I think you just redeemed yourself there. Carl Dronke comes on towards pit road. You've got yourself Stefan Stars, Conor Van Ram, Gareth Dorning also on pit road right now. So let's talk you through their pit stops. There is Carl Dronke. Again, expect 10-second-ish pit stops for the most part. The drivers that have got it all sorted out. Carl Dronke does himself a pit stop time of 13, 14, 15, 15.9 seconds. That's a long stop there for Carl Dronke. Conor Van Ram does a 10.9 second stop, and what you see there is the fact that he is now just 1.1 seconds behind Carl Dronke, who always bins it actually on that Armco barrier on the outside of pit road.
Yeah, trying to push it too hard coming out of pit road. Got to be so careful about that. But look further back. Stefan Stoyles now in the big group. Laibert side by side now with Nick Sigley down towards Maggots and Beckett's. He gets that one done. But look at this. It's a 6-car train right now, Will, of those who have all decided to come down onto pit road and co. And that's a really difficult group in terms of making your way forward because nobody will want to do the work.
No, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars there in that pack, essentially. that are all trying to work together as they all split off. They go 3 wide in towards Stowe Corner. Who's going to be the beneficiary of that one? Well, Brian Duell trying to move himself to the point in that group, and he will do so just about, I would say, for the time being. The answer is actually going to be no, because he's now going to be on the outside, and there's going to be the driver, Stephen Stoyles, just ahead of him.
Yes, and that's a brilliant battle between these drivers, and now you can see a better line trying to go out to the exit here for Brian Duell, but he doesn't get the best run. Now tucked in under the toe, moves instantly to the outside to try and make that move. Will he be able to make that move? That's the bigger question here. No, he doesn't. Race leader, though, is in Norbert Sulzer. Arens stays out as I thought he would. Watson's decided to come in, as has Tom Ward. So Barry Arens looking to play the long game and run the gauntlet.
There is driver Norbert Sulzer. This will be interesting. Where does he feed in here, Jake? Pit time is up. And, well, we've got ourselves the Treble 6 machine as well. Mick Watson on towards pit road. It's a long stop for Sulzer. 14.2 out and away.
Yes, and now De Freitas down the start-finish line, and that is going to be the question that people are going to be making right now. Sulzer gets out and away, but it's going to be a lot closer than he would have liked right now, because De Freitas and Sykes are working together here at the front, and look at that. It was 4 seconds almost when they left pit road. Now it's a little under 2, if not that, because Arjen De Freitas has worked his way back into this race.
10.7 second pit stop compared to a 14.2 second pit stop. I want to say I told you so, Jake, but I told you so.
You did tell me so, and, well, very fair play to that. And you know what you were saying about Tom Ward right now? He is looking at a podium potentially here, because he's got Hendrickson in his sights.
He has, and he's made a pit stop as well. There is Tom Ward. We go on board of him, and actually he's moved himself past, well, actually not past Hendrickson. He's ahead of Ari Harrow by about 0.3 of a second. But there is the comparison of the lap times then for the driver of Tom Ward. And, well, he's been gaining. He's been gaining over the course of the last few laps, but that's partially because of pit stops. But what we want to know is what will happen in the next couple of laps here. But Tom Ward has to get himself past Hendrickson kind of immediately. But Hendrickson's kind of proven himself that he's not a bad driver in this event here today.
No, he isn't, and Tim Hendrickson has certainly given himself a lot of airtime with the way that he's been defending very, very well, and now it's going to be down to how Tom Ward can maneuver and make his way past. In the past, you'd say Tom Ward has had an ability to get a little bit too close and too friendly to other drivers, and Hendrickson will be one of those drivers that really does frustrate Tom Ward, so Ward will have to be very careful, especially with the fact that he is very, very notorious for being very, very friendly with drivers.
We are down to 6 laps to go at the line then for some of these drivers. Barry Arens is on pit road. We can see him now. .5 second stop there for Barry Arens. Greg Zietz goes purple. Fastest lap of the day. But in compare... Greg Zietz, by the way, 7.5 second pit stops. What the hell has Greg Zietz been doing in saving fuel?
A lot, and the issue that Greg Zietz is going to have now is he's actually dropping off of the back, you could argue, of Arjen De Freitas, is he's now got to make it very, very safe. He came down in on lap 4, Will, to get that stop. That was during the caution period, so now he's going later than everyone else. It may have to be a splash and dash, Will, but you'd feel that Zietz is a little bit too far out.
And he's got front wing damage, so that's going to hurt his aerodynamics, that's going to hurt his fuel efficiency. Let's put that one place there to Tom Ward. Hendrickson, Tom Ward should catch and pass. That's Tom Ward up into P number 5. Then you got to think about Arjen De Freitas, Norbert Sulzer et al. Tom Ward, P4 might be a push, but he should get top 5.
Yeah, top 5 should be easy, but you have to remember, 2 drivers haven't come in, Dakota Fripp and the driver of Andrew Beccaria. They also came in on the pit stop window, so they're running their fuel tanks to empty as well, so they should get both of those positions, Will. Barry Arens has also come down in. This could be a podium for Tom Ward after what looked like the bleakest of bleakest afternoons for him. But look at this, Sulzer and De Freitas for the net race lead. They are nose to tail.
Let's go on board then with Norbert Sulzer. Let's give you a little bit of Racesport TV fan immersion. what, Jake? That pass was almost too easy there by Aaron DeFreitas. I think Norburt's saving.
He is, because he hit the brakes heading down in towards that corner. I think with 5 laps to go and they next cross the line, Will, I think Sulzer wants to be in that second position heading down the Hangar Straight to give himself the best possible run heading through. But behind that, Hendrickson under pressure. Here comes Tom Ward to the outside and looking very, very accomplished in this move that he's going to do. I believe he isn't going to make it happen before he gets himself to Stowe Corner, but around the outside, Mansell-esque. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that one deserves a replay. Let's bring that one up for you then. On board with driver of Tom Ward, there you'll see. Alongside, outside line. Thank you very much. Tom Ward up into what is essentially now the 6th position, but this is P number 4 that I was talking about earlier, because Dakota Fripp, Andrew Pecori, both need to come on towards pit road.
You could argue Greg Seitz as well, as he's starting to drop off. Maybe, but Precario came in at a very, very similar time to the likes of Greg Seitz. Dakota Fripp was also on that same time, so it's not a foregone conclusion, but you feel if Dakota Fripp and co can just outrun the gauntlet here, make it to the border, you could argue, this is one of the great recovery drives, and this is one of the great overalls. But in fact, Fripp decides that's enough. I can't go any longer on the fuel. I will drop myself down onto pit road. Precario will follow as well. Eyes on Greg Seitz, see if he does the same.
1 driver in, 2 driver in. There is a driver now of Andrew Pecori on towards pit road. The question over Greg Seitz is yes. He's on towards pit road as well, Jake.
He is, and well, it is a really, really big moment for Greg Seitz, trying to get himself down in onto pit road. Looks to hit his box right about now, and he does, and it will be a splash and a dash and get yourself back out again. Dakota Fripp gets himself back out again, and he's behind the likes of Carl Dronke, now behind that group of Cantor, Van Ram, Duell, all in that big bundle of cars, and that's not going to be where he wants to be right now as Cantor makes the way through on Dakota Fripp. For Greg Seitz, though, he comes out and he's got a lot of train in front of him, and they're going 3-4 wide at places here. Chris Malcolm, Alatai, got likes of Dalla Valle in there, Precario come out in front of the entire train. McDonald, Derricks, Leach. This is brilliant mid-pack racing.
This is the mid-pack that we often don't get you to show you enough because of stuff happening out front. But it's all kicked off. Oh, driver off.
Yeah, driver off there, and that's not brilliant for that driver trying to get back up onto circuit. That's Sabahatan Atalar there, who has had the most difficult name in sim racing I've had to pronounce, and arguably the worst off there that you can possibly have coming out of Chapel. Very difficult to deal with. Dalla Valle to the inside, though, of Precario, and you know what? He's trying to chop the nose off, and he just about manages it.
Yeah. Actually, I would say that Sebastian Atalar is not the worst I've ever had, but he's up there. He's in the top 5, shall we say. Chris Malcolm, Gareth Dorning, very close together. P17, P18 ahead of them. Dakota Fripp versus Carl Dronke. Well, they are in that pack right now. But you've got drivers of Enzo Cantor, Brian Duell, Philippe Lever, Colin Van Ram, Stefan Stiles, all wanting positions, all in the mix of getting a top 10. But there's only one top 10 position really available right now.
Certainly is, and remember Philippe Leber, will remember how he was crabbing his way down onto pit road in the early goings of this event. He's used that fast repair and come right back into it with the likes of Duell, Cantor and Fripp, and this is a fantastic little train that's going on. Don't count out this train though for P5, P6 backwards. Watson, Arends, Harrow and Dronke, all 4 of them. This is a personal best finish, arguably you could say for the lot.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that Mick Watson is up 8 places here today. You got yourself Barry Arends and Ari Harrow up 9 places each. But look at the driver of Tom Ward. Thomas Ward up 35 places here today, past Tim Henriksson, and speechless.
You have to be. It's fantastic, but what he has to be careful of is ruining his race in the last 4 laps of this one, because Henriksson is still there and still holding on, tucked underneath the toe, looking for the inside now. Ward will not fight this move because there is no point fighting it. Let the man go, try and have another go later on. Now he's down into 4th position. Henriksson with a resilient defense. I'll tell you something else here, Will. Only 2 drivers who started in the top 10 remain in the top 10.
Yep, you got Norbert Tulsa up 14 places, Iron Freighter up 9 places here this evening. Then you can see Enzo Cantor actually hasn't had a bad race either. He's up 25 places here today in this second motor race here. And, well, that's kind of what you expect for Enzo Cantor. We will go to him in a moment's time, but Tom Ward stalking, hunting, looking for third place for the time being. He's not got it, but it's kind of me versus you right now. You say P3, I say P4.
Yeah, certainly do. And well, it's going to be a battle on whose commentary insight is the best and who knows their best about this Skip Barber 2K World Cup. And Tom Ward now versus Hendrickson. You've got a root on Hendrickson here, Will.
You've got to, yeah, you've got to. As Greg Seitz right now is currently scored, you know, not in the place where he would want to be here this evening. We are going to get you live photos of this one. Here we are on board with Greg Seitz, but he's P number 24. And there's exactly the cars ahead of it.
There is. So there is hope for him to gain positions in the last 3 laps. But the issue for Greg Seitz was he was involved in the early incident, so that dropped him away back. And then he was involved in the Halliburton incident, Will. So Seitz has had a really rough day, continued and persevered, but big points for the TT Racing driver to really lose in this event.
Philippe Leber goes purple for the time being. He is right behind Brian Duell as well. We go on board with him. He just runs wide on the exit of Copse Corner. But you've got yourself Dakota Fripp, Enzo Cantor, Brian Duell, and Philippe Leber all nose to tail right now as they battle out for, I would say realistically, 2 positions inside your top 10.
It is 2 positions in the top 10, barring any incident earlier forward, and that's going to be crucial now as Enzo Cantor plays the blocker in the role here with Brian Duell, the Positive Sim Racing team, down to the inside. He will go on the Thrustmaster Movano driver, and now, as they remain side by side in towards not Copse Corner, but Stowe Corner even, it's around the outside. Try and hold that line as much as you can, Enzo Cantor. He'll now have to do a double defense roll into the Vale, and I think he's just about got that sorted. Well done. Leber now goes on the offensive of the PSR driver.
But he couldn't do it there. He was trying to run that ultra inside line, but couldn't make it work for him. So he has to remain in P number 12 for the time being. Just to let you know, Tom Ward has got himself back past the driver of Tom Hendrickson. But these 2 drivers are basically stuck together like glue right now. 0.3 of a second, 2 1/3 laps to go.
And your leaders are still 0.4 of a second between each other right now, Sulzer and De Freitas. And the 2 teammates don't want to throw it away here, but both of them want to prove that one is better than the other in this situation. It's the Hamilton-Rosberg role that you so often see in sim racing at times, Will. But now, you look at this, there are battles going on for P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7, P8, P9, P10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Colin Van Ram turns it almost.
Yeah, and for Colin Van Ram, it's been a very interesting day for him today. There is Colin Van Ram, and there is the replay. So go on board with him. You've got yourself Harry Harrow just losing positions as well. Harry Harrow's coming towards pit road, I believe. So we'll talk about that one in a moment's time. But Colin Van Ram, this is what we just saw with him. And for Van Ram as well, in that, oh, he almost actually runs into the rear of Steven Stalls. That's what caused him to get loose there, Jake.
Yeah, and he's a very, very lucky lad. Harrow in because he pitted on lap 5, but I'm focusing side-by-side Cantor and Duell through Maggots and Beckett's, and Duell was squeezed almost off the circuit completely by Cantor. Cantor being ruthless with his Italian passion, giving no room and then a little bit more no room. Side-by-side they'll go again, and Duell will come straight back at him here with 2 laps to go. Stuck on the inside here and pinched hard to that inside is Enzo Cantor, but he tracks out and gives himself room down into the corner. What a brilliant scrap this is for the final spot inside your top 10. But you know what? I want to focus on the battle for P3 a bit because Hendrickson is not done.
He's not. And that's the thing, because he's still right behind Tom Ward right now. He knows he's got the opportunity. And you talk about there not being enough room. This is an airfield track here, Jake. Anything can happen. 2 laps to go then. On the outside comes Tom Hendrickson looking for the pass over the driver of Tom Ward. And no, nothing yet.
Nothing yet, and well, Tim will feel that he will look to try and get past Tom, and Tom, you know what, and next, or the kin and what have you next, but it's going to be Hendrickson now who needs to work and try and get past Ward, but focus on the race lead right now here, Will, because Arjen de Freitas versus Norbert Sulzer right now, nose to tail, and I think de Freitas been waiting and waiting for that perfect moment down the hanger straight to make something happen, and he is in range if he gets a stunning Copse, Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel.
White flag is out. One more lap to go here then at Silverstone. Second lap of the day. Second race of the day even. As we've had a 4-lap race and a 19-lap race. And the 19-lap race, well, it comes down to the final lap, just as the 4-lapper did. Norbert Sulzer versus Arjen de Freitas. De Freitas just haunting and waiting, looking and waiting to go. As they work themselves through Chapel. So not through, yeah, they're going to head themselves through Chapel right about now, actually. Maggots, Beckett, Chapel. And de Freitas just can't get the run, Jake, actually, out of that corner. But now, actually, he's going to get the draft. Let's head himself down towards Stowe corner. Arjen de Freitas going to look himself maybe down to the inside on the final lap of the motor race. Arjen de Freitas will move himself then down to the race lead, and he's got it.
Oh, what a move from de Freitas. He knew he needed to get it. I was focusing a bit behind, actually, Will, because they were 3 wide. Watson, Arens, and Dronke down in towards Maggots and Beckett, and they somehow all made that stick. But now, Norbert Sulzer knows he's got to make the move at Abbey, or he's got to go do or die at Brooklands or Luffield.
Yep, so let's go on board the driver of Norbert Sulzer then, because now he knows he just lost the race lead, but he's only got 2 more potential opportunities to make this one work, and the first one ain't gonna happen. Not down at the Abbey chicane for Norbert Sulzer, but if he gets a good run out of here, he may try to make the move down into the bridge. No, not gonna happen. Also, I think that Arjen de Freitas just has the better advantage on the acceleration zones there. Norbert Sulzer then looking to take second place, but it will be Arjen de Freitas' day unless anything bold happens. We have got battles going on behind. We'll talk about those after this race is scored complete. But Arjen de Freitas will head himself out of the final corner. What a final time here today. 19 laps worth of racing. And it'll be Arjen de Freitas who will claim victory in our second race here today. De Freitas wins, as we will now just go back and have a look at what had been a crazy couple of moments then in the P3-4-5 battle, and that all started at the start of that final lap there, Jake.
It did. It was fantastic to see all these drivers going at it and making those massive pushes towards the end. We have a grandstand, though. Van Raam versus Stoyles, and Stoyles on the inside will take that grandstand away from the driver of Colin Van Raam. But look at this. Greg Seitz in the final stages has scythed his way through that massive pack. Couldn't get past Kurt Crum, but that's P17 for Greg Seitz, who was P24 all of 2 laps ago.
Yeah, and you got to say, Greg Seitz has actually done a fantastic job. We're just having a look there at the replay of Mick Watson going 3 wide down at Maggots and Beckett. What a move that one was there. And these drivers down in your mid-pack, there's like no opportunity at all to breathe for a moment, because you also had behind Enzo Cantor going side by side with Barry Arens, and that was a battle going on all the way for your final lap.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see that all these battles and everyone putting their hearts and their souls on the line in front of the vehicle. And well, it was very nice and clean towards the end of that race. At the start, we had that big moment, but that was just a mistake. But for that second half of that race, that battles that we saw all throughout your top 15, you could argue, was simply sensational to behold.
It is indeed. Let's then get a look at the final couple of moments. Enzo Cantor, look at that, they go 3 wide almost again, down and towards the Abbey chicane. That's a big battle going on behind them. But you also said about Tom Ward, did you say, and Henriksson? Henriksson had himself a look down to the inside, down to Brooklands. He almost got it, but just couldn't make it stick.
No, he couldn't. And then at Luffield, he almost looped the vehicle around because he was pushing so hard to get to Tom Ward. He was lucky he didn't lose any positions, actually, did Hendrickson. Such was the gap he was trying to work with. But fair play to Hendrickson, from position 2 to position 4 only after that P15 he got in race 1. He has certainly proved himself to be a very, very good driver.
I think the entire race today has just been absolutely fantastic. Colin Van Raam, we were just talking about him. And you just see how close he was then to the driver of Stefan Stoyles. They worked themselves past the start-finish line. Conor Van Ram lost out by about a 1/10 of a second. I mean, we've got to say, overall, this has been a fantastic race in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup.
It certainly has, and everything happened and then a little bit more. And well, you can't argue why everything has been so beautiful, but what you can say is that it was beautiful because of the fact that everyone gave everything out there, but the reigning champion gets another victory, and it's one which he's needed so badly all season long. It now gives him the advantage as we head over to the next race in 2 weeks' time.
Arian De Freitas wins. Arian De Freitas wins by 4/10 of a second over Norbert Salter. Tom Ward in third. And get that, the gap between P2 and P3, 13 seconds here today. So Norbert Salter did a fantastic job, but Tom Ward then a charge through the field. Tim Henriksen in fourth, Mick Watson in fifth, Carl Dronke, Dakota Fripp, Barry Arendt, Enzo Cantor, and Brian Duell round out your top 10. Philippe Burt in 11th, Stephen Stalls in 12th, Conor Van Ram, Chris Malcolm, Marco Derricks, and Kurt Crum round out your top 16. Then it's Greg Seitz, David McDonald, Sebastian Attelar, and Andrew Picoro that make up your top 20. There's the remainder of the results up for you. We will step aside for a moment, get yourself ready for post-race interviews here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. What a race from Silverstone.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
Welcome to post-race coverage here from the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. 2 races here today. The second one taken by the driver of Arian De Freitas. There are your top 10 up on your screen once again. Here is Arian De Freitas, stood by with Jake Sparry.
Well, Arian, it's a race victory. It's a very, very big race victory for you, especially knowing the fact that Sebastian Job retired from the event today. Just give us your thoughts then after what was a very, very hectic race.
Yeah, the first race was insane and intense, and I don't know what happened there between Finney or I looked at the replay, I saw what happened, but yeah, Philippe making it 4 wide, and I guess it forced Paul to the left, and then he crashed into Finney, and Finney crashed into me, so that was pretty tricky. Second race, the restart was a mess. yeah, I don't know what happened there. Norbert went outside, and apparently that's allowed. So, but I'm not much of an oval racer anyway, so I have no clue. And I think Tim and Twan, or Tim and Sepp, they crashed. I don't know what happened. I have to look at the replay. But yeah, in the end, had a pretty solid pit stop. Pitted very soon because I was stuck or a bit broken, and I was on my own anyway. So I figured if I pit, I might be quicker anyway. So I pitted early, but then underfueled a tiny bit. So at the end, sit in the draft with Norbert, and yeah, he almost didn't put up a fight in the last lap. But yeah, so in the end, it was an okay win, but I have had better ones.
But a win is a win is a win, and that's very, very crucial for you. But in terms of the way that you've been fighting, the fact that restarts you don't often get here in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup or in iRacing in general, just how difficult is it to keep yourself mentally engaged during a safety car window?
It's not hard. I mean, it was a bit annoying in the beginning. Twan was leaving a lot of room to the guys in front, and yeah, then on the restart you have to be focused. But in the meanwhile, you're fuel saving, and yeah, so you try to keep focused, but it's a bit boring at sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's 3 laps and are pretty long laps behind the safety car, so.
They certainly are, and of course, in 2 weeks' time, it's a random race. We don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Everyone in the universe doesn't know what it is until about a day, an hour, however much time it is going to be before it is announced. So how do you prepare in those 2 weeks to get ready for a race that you don't know that you're going to be racing? How on earth do you try and get yourself ready for a race you don't know that you're going to race?
Yeah, I guess I mean, in the end, we've done most of the tracks already. There are a few on there that I haven't done yet, so I'll certainly take a look at them. And yeah, I think we know like a quarter of an hour before the race, or like an hour of the race before the practice starts. I think it's based on the SOF of the last race, but I'm not totally sure. Philippe, correct me if I'm wrong. But so yeah, just do some laps on tracks I haven't done before, and go from there.
Go from there, but of course a race victory for you today. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you, Arjen?
Obviously my team, PSR, and we're doing a great job again. It's a bit of a shame what happened to PJ, but yeah, this is racing. And obviously you guys, as always, awesome broadcast again, and Philippe for organising it.
Not to worry, Arjen de Freitas coming home in first position in that second race overall. But Will, it seems that you found someone.
I have. That is the driver of Philippe Le Bern. Philippe, actually, just having a look back at that lap 2 crash here today, and that was crazy.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know what was happening. There were cars all over the place. I tried to go left, right, and then all of a sudden there was a car in front of me, and yeah, it was mayhem.
Well, actually, just having a look at the onboard for me right now. As you can see smoke ahead of you. Then 1 crash, 2 crash, and you did get damage from that one twice actually. First of all, do you think the caution was justified? Secondly, do you think that in another circumstance you might have taken a different approach to going through that event?
Well, yeah, I thought the road was clear. Well, for your first question, yes, the caution was more than justified. I think I saw 10 cars flying in the air at the same time, so that was more than justified. I was reaching for the caution button myself, but it was done before that. So. Yeah, I don't know if I would have done things in a different way. Every situation is unique, and I thought I tried to drive around it, but there were just too many cars out of control.
And we saw your car crabbing all the way on towards pit road. You're actually on board with you right now. How hard was it to you to get back into the event afterwards?
Well, it was a lost cause by then. I came back on track in 31st place or so. So I knew it was going to be hard to get in the top 10. I almost did it, but still, it's going to be a drop week for me. I was hopeful after the first race because that was pretty good.
2 weeks' time, anything can happen. What's your thoughts heading into the race in 2 weeks?
We'll see. We don't know the track, and Arjan said that we'll know an hour before, but we'll know 5 minutes before practice starts. So nobody will have a chance to practice, and it's going to be a very interesting experience. And we'll see if it's successful, and if it is, we can repeat it. If not, we can just ditch it for next season.
Let me ask a serious question: is it any track? Is it road tracks, oval tracks involved in this, or is it, you know?
No, we published a list of 20 tracks on the forum, and they're numbered from 1 to 20, and there's some algorithm that will be used to determine what track of those 20 that we're going to use.
Okay, so Philippe Loeber coming home in 11th place here today after starting 14th in the second part of today's event. Before we let you go, Philippe, who do you want to give a shout out to?
You guys. For doing an awesome broadcast again. And of course my team, TT Racing, they were a little bit unlucky today, but we'll be back in full force next week.
Well, that's, ladies and gentlemen, Philippe Loeber. Final thoughts here from Silverstone, Jake. It's been a wacky day.
It certainly has, and we've seen incidents, safety cars, we've seen great overtakes, we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and every single film in between. And at the end of it, you know, we're heading to a racetrack which is even more random because not even we know what it's going to be in 2 weeks' time. But that's the joy of racing sometimes. And, well, if every race weekend could be like that, I know the drivers want a clean and fine race, but sometimes a little bit of chaos certainly does help the excitement.
Don't forget, tomorrow night, Monday Night Skippies in support of Calm, a UK male mental health charity, will be on air from 8 p.m. GMT. So check out Rachel Whiteford, Linus Bromstrom, as well as Connery Maddock for that one. However, we round out your week here on Racespot TV with me saying goodbye from the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Goodbye from a Silverstone. 2 fantastic races. Withington, Jake Sperry. We'll talk to you all next time. Good night.